tank. He's good at setting traps. Has crazy power that he believes in. He has a great chin too because he's a guy. He'll let you get out punches and he'll still be coming at you. And then once he catches you, it's a wrap.
Greats. Crawford's one of the best switch hitters, I think, since Marvin Hagler, and one of the most skillful boxers alive.
He has very good skills. He's one of my favorite boxers. He able to win this fight.
Errol Spence couldn't hide his amazement after witnessing Terence Crawford's intense preparation for the Canelo bout. Having fought Crawford himself, Spence praised Terence's brilliant ring intelligence and world-class abilities. Seeing his recent workouts, Errol was blown away by the speed, accuracy, and smooth footwork on display. Crawford looked like a machine explosive, sharp, and totally dialed in. This version of Crawford is a serious threat Canelo can't afford to ignore. As Terence Crawford looked back on his clash with Errol Spence, a strong sense of respect between the two top-tier fighters was obvious. Crawford, known for his calculated and strategic approach inside the ring, described how he breaks opponents, down step by step, before unleashing a storm of punches they can't recover from.
How hard does Spence hit?
He didn't hit that hard.
Well, he never caught you that clean. That was probably the best shot he landed.
No, he caught me a couple of times, but I was surprised at how hard he didn't hit.
Really?
Given that everybody say, oh, he's a big puncher, he's this. I think he's just a volume puncher. I think he just wears opponents down, just wear them down. I don't think, he has a one-punch knockout. He have power, but it's not like, boom, sleep. I think it's like, bam, oh, boom, 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 boom. And then he just wear you down.
Right, yeah. That is a difference, right?
Because if you look at his career, you never seen him knock nobody out with one punch. You never see him, dropping nobody with one punch. You always see him wearing them down. That's why he goes so hard to the body, because he want to wear you down. Then once you get tired and once your body start weakening, everything start weakening, and those little punches that wasn't hurting start hurting.
Ex-world champ turned boxing analyst Chris Algieri offered a sharp take when weighing Terence Crawford against Canelo Alvarez. Algieri pointed out that while Crawford often dominates with full control in nearly every match, Canelo has had moments where he looked outmatched, what boxing veterans call getting bossed. A prime example was his loss to Dimitri Bivol, where Bivol's reach, jab, and discipline took over. Algieri's view strengthens the case that Crawford's control, adaptability, and tactical brilliance traits that have rattled top fighters before could pose serious problems for Canelo.
And Terence Crawford, who do you think can be the boss that night? When you talk about these two guys, you talk about two guys, number one, you can't boss me around.
Yep.
Two guys, you can't even look at me a certain way without me feeling some type of way. These guys now have set their sights on one another, Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, we know the weight difference, but we've seen Crawford, looks like he's coming up slowly to that weight class and kind of acclimating himself in real time. How do you see that fight playing out?
We're still pretty far away from that fight, and I'm going to hold my complete analytics on that, but I'll tell you this.
Contrast and compare, maybe not a pick.
But I'll tell you this. I've seen Canelo pushed around. I've never seen Terence pushed around. So if we're talking about who's going to be the boss, I've never seen anyone boss Terence Crawford. I've seen Canelo get bossed. So that just psychologically, when you think about that, and this is a fight where I flip-flop on both guys because there's so many good points. Yeah, but he's 168. Yeah, but it's Terence Crawford. He's undefeated. Well, yeah, but this guy's beating this, but stylistic. Even he hits him on the arm. There's so many different things you can talk about. But from a psychological standpoint, who's fresher, who's meaner, who wants it more? That's going to come into play.
As a boxing fan, how much fun is it to see those two attitudes come together? It's kind of like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object get ready to collide.
I I've worked a lot of Canelo fights, and Canelo fight weeks are great. He plays to the crowd really well. His fans are awesome. I'm thinking about the Caleb Plant situation. I'm thinking about the Billy's Joe Saunders situation. When he gets that in his head that he's got an extra chip, he becomes a really dangerous man.
Longtime boxing analyst Max Kellerman gave a fair analysis, noting that while both Canelo and Crawford bring unique strengths, Crawford seems to have the upper hand based on recent showings and complete skill set. Kellerman pointed to Crawford's timing, power, and his ability to switch stances seamlessly, which have all reached a peak. Meanwhile, Canelo, though still world-class, has appeared to slow down a bit, especially in movement and aggression. Kellerman did acknowledge Canelo's size advantage, which could matter in tight exchanges, but ultimately, he leaned toward Crawford for being more precise, faster, and technically sharper right now.
Counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. Mm-hmm. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. You briefly mentioned Canelo's power, so who I would assume Canelo has the
You'd have to think, unless Crawford, Crawford was on a knockout streak until he moved up to junior middleweight and then failed to stop Madrimov. So, and Canelo, though he has not stopped anyone in a while, we've seen he's a real puncher at 68.
As far as speed, who has a better speed?
You would imagine Crawford, given the fact that he is the naturally smaller fighter.
The setup for this blockbuster fight is full of intrigue. Crawford is entering a higher weight class, which always brings questions about speed and endurance. Meanwhile, Canelo, though battle-tested at this level, isn't as aggressive or explosive. As he was in his prime, his recent matches show a more measured, cautious style with fewer finishes. That means while Crawford is taking on a size challenge, Canelo's own physical decline balances things a bit. If Crawford shows up with his, again using slick movement, fight IQ, and relentless energy, he's got a very real chance at pulling off a win.
For Canelo, obviously at 168, he has been a bit of the smaller man at that weight class, and in the last couple of years has had trouble finishing opponents and getting guys out of there like he would have at 160 or 154. So you have a bit of a duality there. Both guys coming into this fight in the, let's say, twilight of their careers, or maybe twilight of their primes, however you want to look at it. Canelo is going to be, I think, 35. Terrence is 38. So you have a similar situation, different paths, and different struggles for both fighters. But when you look at who has to do more in this fight, it's clearly Terrence Crawford, as far as what he's giving up and sacrificing to win this third undisputed championship and to try to beat Canelo, who has only been beat twice in his career, one of which was Floyd Mayweather being slick and tagging Canelo with counter punches when Canelo missed, being the smaller, lighter fighter and up there in age that was still able to take advantage of the youth and experience of Canelo Alvarez, but also just being a defensive maestro and able to counter off of that. Floyd is one of one. And then you have Dimitri Bivol, who was the bigger fighter, and the things that Canelo does very well didn't really hurt him too bad, right? The things that had carried Canelo up in division was his power and the ability to break an opponent down, maybe not stopping them in the early to mid part of fight.